I wanted to make sure, unlike most politicians, that what I said was fucking stupid.
We don't normally get this kind of action.
It's for us. It's just
exciting.
for us. It's the way our screen is.
Oh, dear. It's because you guys are here.
It was a legitimate call. It made sense. It was pass interference. I don't care what anybody says.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk from two men in the know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
You call runs when you're not supposed to, and Dak Prescott is throwing it in the dirt.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Know-It-Alls? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are locked and loaded, ready to go, ready to talk some football. And oh my God, the past couple of days have been insane in free agency, guys. The guys have been going everywhere. There's been a couple of trades already pulled off this offseason. It is insane, and there's much, much more to come with all these other talented free agents left on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. It's getting crazy out there. I mean, even just minutes ago, Patrick Peterson to the Vikings. It's amazing. All right. So, I mean, a lot of moves happening. You know,
Yes, sir.
it got
Yes,
crazy
sir.
starting on Monday and right up until the last minute here. So, we've got already somebody in the house with us.
That's right.
All right. We've got Ant Gallows in the
Gallo,
house.
what's going on,
and
brother?
Jeremy Clute in the house with us tonight, too, as well. Oh, man. Hitting it off
Another
strong.
veteran
I like it.
of Know-It-Alls right
I
there.
like
Jeremy
it. Let's
Clute
go
jumping in.
Patriots in the house.
All
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
hey, and you gotta love what the Patriots have done so far. I mean,
They're moving
listen,
and shaking,
Bill
baby.
Belichick is pissed off. You know what I mean? Like Tom Brady. Oh, damn you, Tom! You won a championship without me. Are you kidding me? That's it. He goes hard into the offseason. He's signing guys left and right. He's adding weapons. He's adding everything he possibly can. It's insane.
Well, it's like Robert Kraft had kept the books really tight, his pocket tight for the last 10 years, 20 years.
Right.
All right, here we go. Now you can spend. Here you go.
Let's open it up.
Yeah, they
You know
spent
what
more
I mean?
this year, I think, than they have in the last 10 years. It's pretty crazy
absolutely.
what they've been doing.
Yeah,
so.
and all the listen.
And loading up on tight ends.
Yes. Well, they got two really good tight ends, right? And they also added a couple of wide receivers. You know, Kendrick Bourne being one of them, and it seems like they got the message. Hey, we need weapons, right? So go ahead, and they just added a couple of tight ends. And we know what the Patriots used to do very well, right? Is have those double tight end sets, and you weren't really sure what to do, how to combat it, and everything. I mean, I hate to bring his name up, but Aaron Hernandez. Like, he was one of those go-tos with Rob Gronkowski. And now it looks like they not only get Jonnu Smith from Tennessee, but also end up picking up Hunter Henry as the other tight end complement. So
absolutely,
kudos to the Patriots
and
for
Gallo
getting it done.
says Super Bowl or bust for them. So, I mean, who knows? Yeah, they're loading up. So,
I mean,
you never know.
Super Bowl or bust.
Correct.
I gotta say, I'm still concerned for you don't have a quarterback, though. You need a quarterback in order to get to the Super Bowl. So let's wait and see what else they do. And I don't think. I think the signing of Cam Newton, right? They re-signed Cam Newton back to New England. He's there. He's an insurance policy. That's what he is to the Patriots. I think you have to expect New England in the draft. Because now you're starting to see some names go off. Andy Dalton now is signed with the Bears. Ryan Fitzpatrick signs, I think, was it Washington football team? So those kind of guys that they probably would have been interested in are now gone. Now look for them to go ahead into the draft and look for possibly they're going to have to trade up. Most likely ahead of the Niners at 12 in order to get one of these quarterbacks that everybody, as we get closer, they're going to just get higher and higher on.
And Ant Gallo says boosting the running game as well.
Run, bitch! Run!
Yeah,
Yes,
QB
sir.
is
Yes,
currently
sir.
on another team. Yeah, so Ant Gallo in the house with us.
And they're also,
so-
that's the other thing, too, is boosting the running game. They're talking to Leonard Fournette right now. You know, they also talk to Chris Carson. So there's a couple of big-time backs that they are in talks with. And if they land one of them, whoa. I mean, they are really starting to add to this offense and making it a much more competitive team and a team to possibly be feared for the upcoming season.
First of all, I want to say happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody out there. I want to do a
Happy
shot here with
St.
Joe. We've already
Patrick's
done another one of
Day.
this. Here we go. Salute.
Salud.
All right.
Ah,
Get that.
and this
Out
show
of
is
the way.
brought to you by The Regiment 69th. Yeah. These guys, this is a new whiskey we decided to try out. And oh my God, it's good.
Yeah, it's got some punch to it.
The Fighting 69th Regiment.
Yeah.
So a little known fact
There you
about
go.
this bottle here is not only is it really good, it's really tasty, but every dollar from every bottle sold,
every purchase
is donated to the Fighting 69th Regiment themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's awesome.
So,
yeah, it's good. We're trying out. It's
made
delicious
in
out there.
America.
Jeremy Koo says, really hoping they would have signed Jacoby again, but they didn't. Yeah, and he goes to Miami.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to get to free agency in a little bit here. Quick, I just want to –
all right.
I know everybody already knows
I'm
this.
excited.
And things like that. Again, but Drew Brees did retire. I just want to bring up his stats quick here again. You look at his career now, at the age of 42 he retired, and he's got an overall completion percentage of 67% and 80,000 yards, 571 touchdowns, 243 in INTs, and a QB rating of 98.7 for his career. 13-time Pro Bowler and a one-time Super Bowl champion. Should have probably had more than that. But Drew Brees out there calls it a career. He was there and made a name of himself in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of top 5 lists now. All of a sudden, I think this is what happens when people retire.
Man.
Where do you put them, stuff like that. And I've seen them all over the place. I've seen them not even in a top 5, barely in a top 10, some of them even higher. And it's pretty interesting when you talk about him because I think he gets a lot of backlash a little bit for being shorter. And he's good for a shorter quarterback. And he doesn't get the, credit I think that he probably deserves for what he's been doing, and I think still only having that one championship is going to loom over his career, I think, in a sense too as well.
I mean, and by the way, Drew Brees, an amazing and astounding career that he's had. Drew Brees, amazing player. You can't not say who's your elite quarterbacks in the league and not mention Drew Brees, first of all. So I think he gets enough recognition, but a lot of people, especially like this past year, kind of have turned down on him and saying, well, he's not as consistent as he used to be. He's throwing balls left and right. He's not getting that chemistry that he once had with his other receivers is not there, or his arm is getting weaker. We saw some parts of his game this past season where he started to show his age a little bit. So with the injuries that he sustained recently and everything all together, Drew Brees, he decides to call retirement. And just like Jim mentioned, like these top 5 lists come out, like who's your all-time list? Now that Brees is retired, where is he in your all-time list? He's a great quarterback, right? Well, so isn't Tom Brady. So isn't Aaron Rodgers. So isn't Russell Wilson. So isn't, some of these quarterbacks like Joe Montana and Steve Young and names that come to mind, you know what I mean, really quick. Those guys, so you mean to tell me that, and this is for argument's sake, like I'm kind of just going with the flow here, but Tom Brady, everybody considers, or most people consider him the best quarterback to ever play the game. Now, when you make a statement like that,
boom, shakalaka.
That's a pretty strong statement. So you're telling me that he's better than Joe Montana, he's better than Drew Brees, he's better than Aaron Rodgers, he's better than all these guys that are also going to be compared to him. Now, for me, I don't think you can name one player that's the absolute best in any given position because it's absolutely impossible.
Ding, motherfucker!
Every quarterback, running back, receiver, etc., have either played in a different time, they've played with different rules, and they've also played against different type of talent. So you can't say best all time ever. Just no way. Now, do I consider Drew Brees elite? Yes, I consider him one of the greatest. I consider Montana one of the greatest. I consider Tom Brady one of the greatest. I'll give them their dues, but there's no way you can tell me someone's better than anybody else overall.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Well, yeah, I think I agree with you, too, as well. We've had this statement before out there with everybody. I don't think you can find a greatest of all time. There's always going to be debate. They played in different generations, like you said. They're just great players altogether, and it's fun to talk about them. So, all right, there we go. So we covered some Drew Brees. So you ready to get to the bread and butter, Joe?
Long-winded.
No, it's good, though. Again, that guy...
Guys,
we're
drink
getting
with us
older
too.
now, so a lot of these guys are leaving the NFL now. Joey's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
become a broadcaster and things like that. So
Yeah,
we
you
get
already
to see him on the TV.
And that's the
all that
craziest
stuff.
thing is we had a report out there early on before we even got here, about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, about Drew Brees already having a gig with NBC.
yeah.
Already a deal ready to be signed as
He just
soon
had to
as he
walk away.
retires.
That's it.
And what do you know? As soon as a day after he retires, signs that deal with NBC. Now look for him on the big tube.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we appreciate you guys tuning in with us tonight. It is a St. Patrick's Day
St.
show. We're
Patrick's.
having some fun with some whiskey here. So you guys join in with us, too. Have some fun. And we're
Yeah.
going to just cover all the teams. We're going to make it quick, though. We're not going to go nuts on every team. But if there's a team you want to stop and talk about, let us know in the comments. Let's hear it up in the comments.
Or a player or a free agent
Yeah,
that's out there
absolutely.
that you're thinking about maybe possibly signing. Or maybe you have a question about a free agent that's out there that you might – you're like, hey, are you guys hearing anything from the inner realms of the NFL? Do you hear any rumors or anything that where a guy might be going? Go ahead and hit us up in the comments below.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's hit it off with the Buffalo Bills here. They did a few signings here. They got Feliciano. They
they re-signed
restructured-
Feliciano.
Yep. They got a new deal with Matt Milano here. Levi Wallace, they agreed to terms for a one-year deal. And Emmanuel Sanders, though, this is one thing I like that they did, too. 1-year contract with the Bills, so they have nothing really to lose on this one. Again, a good player that's bounced around for a few teams the last couple of years, but still playing at a decent level. Now you put him, they lose John Brown, he goes off into free agency, so you pop Emmanuel Sanders right in there to where he's gone. So I like the moves here. I like what these guys are doing
I do
here,
like what the Buffalo Bills have done so far. The one thing that I'll say is you pointed out Emmanuel Sanders, and this is a good move for them. It's a one-year deal, like you said. Doesn't hurt them in the future. It's probably like a veteran minimum, not really that much money to forfeit over to Emmanuel, but he gives you that dynamic playability. Even though he's a little bit older of a receiver, he's still got that knack to get the ball and make some plays. Another one that they made, which I think is another bigger signing, is also re-signing, agreeing to a new deal with Darrell Williams, a right tackle. A guy that if he sat out there any longer, I'm pretty sure would have been scooped up. So kudos to Buffalo.
Absolutely. We got Chris Rodriguez in the house. He says Pats Nation out there, so the Patriots representing. Hey, I don't know if you can see. I don't know, my shirt's under here.
Well, look at what you got there.
I got my New England against the world here. I don't know if you can see it right there. But
No.
it's New England against everyone. That's what it is. New England versus everyone. So there you go. I got my New England versus everyone shirt on.
We don't want to see that.
I only had 2 shots. I'm already trying to get naked.
That's it.
What's crazy?
Doesn't take
What
much for
happened
him.
to
He's
me?
a cheap date,
I
everybody.
guess so, yeah. you know.
But yeah, what's going on, Chris? Welcome to the
tech you
show.
want. Absolutely.
Feel free, anybody new to the show or anything, you guys are more than welcome to drop in the comments below questions, your own insight, your own opinions, or even anything that you have thought about for this free agency.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit us up with the next one. Who we got with next show?
Next one, we got
Miami
none other than
Dolphins,
the
right?
Miami Dolphins. Yeah, Miami have a little bit of extracurricular activities going on, but nothing like huge splash type news, although they did acquire in a trade from the Houston Texans, Bernardrick McKinney. The inside linebacker for the Texans ends up going over to now he is the Miami Dolphins guy to go. They give up not even hardly anything, really. I mean, they give up nothing. They basically exchanged 7th-round picks and also for Shaq Lawson to be traded over there with a 6th as well. So per Ian Rappaport. So here's the trade. Already the alcohol's kicking in. Bernardrick McKinney.
Yeah.
Is now traded over to the Dolphins. I think this is a good move for the Dolphins. They do move on from Kyle Van Noy and ended up cutting him, letting him go into free agency. Now they add a linebacker that's going to help them fill that hole in there with McKinney. I think it's a good move for the Dolphins. But other than that, nothing stellar. I mean, Michael Pilardi, for, the punter for them, signs another 1-year deal for them. Did a very good job last year, so they end up bringing him back. Jacoby Brissett is interesting. They needed when Fitzpatrick, since Fitzpatrick has been gone from Miami, they needed someone to fill that backup role for Tua, a little bit of a leadership developmental tutor for Tua. That's kind of weird to say. But Jacoby Brissett ends up coming over to the Dolphins, signing a 1-year deal with them. to give them that leadership at the quarterback position.
All right, Chris Rodriguez says, you guys think the Patriots will pick up a quarterback?
Yeah, and here's the thing is I'm not necessarily sure that it's going to be in free agency at this point. I mean, we've seen guys that I thought would have been completely perfect for the Patriots, like an Andy Dalton who was out there, like damn it, I lost it.
Ryan Fitzpatrick that was
Ryan
out
Fitzpatrick,
there?
yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick. One of those two quarterbacks I think would have fit very nicely in the Patriots offense, but unfortunately they signed deals elsewhere. The Patriots bring back Cam Newton, which I feel is just kind of like an insurance policy at the quarterback position. They don't have anybody better than Cam there to take the torch, so to speak. So I fully expect the Patriots to make kind of like a splash move in the draft to get one of these quarterbacks like a Mac Jones. But in order to do so, I think the Patriots are going to have to do uncharacteristic things in trading up past the number 12 spot where the Niners lay. Because I definitely think the Niners, if Mac Jones slips down to 12, I think they'll take him, because we've already heard reports about them kind of looking to move on from Jimmy G and finding the next guy. I think that will be in the draft. So look for Patriots to make kind of like a splash move in the draft, get a guy like Mac Jones or whoever happens to slip down that way in the top 10. That'll be something that I'm going to be looking forward to.
All right, we've got John Turner's in the house with us tonight, Joe.
He is.
John Turner is in the
Johnny
house.
boy.
He says that the Washington football team making moves quietly, which I think
they are.
They
definitely are.
I think not even quietly. I notice. I think everybody's on notice and seeing what they're doing. So they're out there making moves,
and they're not done yet.
Who knows?
They can't be done yet.
Not. They can't be.
I mean, they still need some help on that offensive line. They still need. They could use another receiver out there. So maybe they're not going to stop with just Curtis Samuel. They're going to go at, now. They got Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. Now maybe they go for another receiver in free agency and then go into the draft. So we'll have to wait and see.
Chris Rodriguez says Desean Watson. He wants out of Houston. What's going on with that?
Yeah, he definitely wants out of Houston, and he's made it very clear that he is not going to play another snap for the Texans, whether he sit out the whole season or he gets traded. So Desean Watson to New England, this is kind of like a thing that New England never does. They never give up the farm, give up the future for any one player. I don't see them doing that now for Desean Watson. So I think they're going to maintain where they are. The only thing that I could see, like I said before, is that they're going to trade up in the draft to get a young stud at quarterback. But Deshaun Watson, I think there's only a couple teams that Watson himself is interested in getting traded to. And that's the 49ers is one of them, is the newest thing that I'm hearing. And believe it or not, the Denver Broncos. So those are two teams to keep an eye on. I don't think the Broncos are going to do it, but Niners I could definitely foresee since they want to move on from Jimmy G anyway.
Right, and that's the thing, too, because this is where it makes it interesting for Chris Rodriguez here, too, as well, maybe. So if they do pull off the trade, do they put Jimmy G in that package with him to send him over to Houston? Or if he's still there, then does New England go and make the trade since they have the relationship with the 49ers already? Right. Go back and get Jimmy G. Already knows the system. Go get him back.
And we have heard.
There you go. You've got your guy back in place.
We definitely have heard that kind of tie where they were interested in trading for Jimmy G, but there hasn't been anything reciprocated back to New England. So I think that's kind of like dead in the water. But I definitely would look at that. They have to trade Jimmy G. They got to get rid of his contract. They got to get rid of him if they're going to bring in a new quarterback at the helm. So. That is one team that I for sure think that has a legitimate shot in getting Watson.
Yeah, so covering Miami, though, I like what they're doing. Again, I mean, they're making moves. You know, they had all the draft picks from last year. They made a lot with it. They improved their team. And, again, in free agency, they're doing some stuff. I think I like Jacoby Brissett backing up Tua. Even it was funny because you heard all kinds of murmurings about looking at running backs. And then they go and get Malcolm Brown for a year, which I even like this in a sense, too. I mean, when he's been available and been able to play for the Rams, things like that, still makes some things happen. So I like he's a nice tandem there back with Gaskins back there. So I like what they're doing there, too, as well.
Yeah, he's definitely a nice compliment now to Gaskin. Gaskin is more like a shiftier, quicker type of running back, a guy that can catch out of the backfield. And also Malcolm Brown, he brings that thump. He brings that thunder. He's going to pound for every single inch.
Absolutely.
And that might have sounded dirty, but
yeah,
we'll
I
let
threw it right in. That was perfect timing. And we were just talking about the Patriots here again. Nelson Aguilar, as a wide receiver here, Kendrick Bourne, the 2 tight ends here, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. I thought for sure even 2 they were going to grab like a Hunter Henry. It's kind of weird, I think, that they went Jonnu Smith first, but I also thought maybe they would try and weasel a trade in, maybe even get Zach Ertz even on a trade, maybe from Philly or something like that. I thought it would have been a nice work.
That would have been a Patriots move for sure.
Yeah, and they grabbed Trent Brown in the trade with the Raiders. Dietrich Wise here agreed to a 4-year deal again, which he had a down year. I've been high on this guy. He had a good year the year before. This year he kind of was a little bit down, but I can see that they really believe in what he's doing. And let's see if he can bounce back here and really prove that 4-year contract that he's got going on here. And Matthew Judon, to the 4-year deal, $56 million.
Impressive.
Includes $30 million over the first 2 years. And Justin Bethel, too, as well. So a lot of moves made. Jalen Mills, too. So New England throwing out the checkbook, making moves, and there you go. I mean, improving this defense, too, is what you see, too.
Right.
Bill Belichick, what does he know defense? Making moves on this defense, who got mocked a little bit last year, and a lot of their older veteran players took the year off.
And that's the thing, too, is you got to look at as guys that took the year off like a Dante Hightower. You know what I mean? So that definitely hurt their defense. And now they're coming into this offseason. It was almost like a slap in the face for the Patriots. This whole last season that they played, it was like, man, we're not as good as we once were. We're missing too many pieces. We don't have the right guys in the place. This is not us. We need, excuse me, we need to come back in the offseason strong and put guys in place that fit our system and get back on track. So they do that with a couple of big, I consider them huge kind of signings for this team. Is no one really talks about them, but David Gottschall at D tackle. That is a bigger signing, I think, than people give credit for. A guy that's a dynamite D tackle, not really highly talked about, but he's an underlining type of player. He's going to pay huge dividends for this Patriots team going forward. Henry Anderson, another name that doesn't get talked about a whole lot. A solid player, a guy that's going to give you his all every single down. Matt Judon, one of the premier pass rushing type of guys that you could get in this free agency is like a guy like Matt Judon. He comes over from the Ravens, forget about it. This defense is starting to look more like a Bill Belichick defense with the guys that are returning and the guys that they've added to this team or re-signed. Like you mentioned, Dietrich Wise Jr., that guy is, I agree with you. He's a really good player. Just had it a little bit of a down year last year. He returns. But they didn't even stop there. Aguilar comes over, wide receiver help. Now, here's the only problem that I have with this signing is they basically gave, on average per year, Nelson Aguilar $13 million a year. You mean to tell me that Nelson Aguilar is worth $13 million a year? I don't know about that. If you end up having Cam Newton as your quarterback, he needs a good quarterback to throw him the ball. So watch out. Nelson Aguilar is not going to be the answer. He's going to, fully expect him to have a down year, and the Patriots are going to frown heavily upon that because all the money they shelled out to him.
Joe, we've got breaking news from your daughter in the house with us tonight. Kyle Vanoy just signed back with the Patriots.
That's right.
The know-it-all doesn't fall far from the tree.
It doesn't, right?
Thanks,
KJ.
Look at that. Kyle Vanoy,
there you go.
That's an expected move you kind of saw, too.
So,
goes from the Belichick system to the Dolphins and then leaves from that back into place where he can excel again.
He's going to excel
and help anybody else get
and with the surrounding talent that they managed to add on this defense, it's going to pay. It's going to be absolutely amazing for the Patriots defense. If you do fantasy real quick, this is going to be a defense that you're going to like. As long as they gel and they get that chemistry back together, watch out. Another guy that I want to point out, too, is Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne is a very underrated wide receiver from the 49ers, comes over to New England. I think he's going to be a key player this upcoming season. Hunter Henry, little note on him, though, is this past couple of years, he's been hit with injuries. He's also hit with inconsistent hands as of late. This last season, he's dropped a few balls, and which led to the Chargers kind of letting him walk. So, big name. Let's see if his production picks up with New England. And Jonnu Smith, I cannot believe for the life of me that Tennessee let this guy walk into free agency without even offering a contract. What are you doing, Tennessee? What are you doing?
I don't know. We'll see. We shall
I don't
see
understand, but there you have it. With the New England Patriots, so far they are winning free agency as a team. They are doing a phenomenal job.
All right, now let's hit up with the Jets, Joe. What do you got for the Jets here?
Jets, real quick, not a whole lot going on just yet. With the team that has the most cap space, right? You would think that they would be not only big players in the first wave of free agency or the second wave of free agency. Well, we're into kind of the third wave of free agency, and there's still tons of talent out there to make their team better, namely offensive line. Pick a weapon at wide receiver. Juju's still out there. Kenny Galladay's still out there. Why aren't they adding these pieces yet? But lo and behold, they add a guy like wide receiver Corey Davis, who, yes, okay, he's had the best production in his whole career last year. But it was his contract year, let's face it. Where was that production, before that? So he comes in, he gets a 3-year, $37.5 million deal. I think it's a little too rich for the guy to come in there. But let's see if it all pays out. But Carl Lawson, to me, is the biggest signing that they've managed to grab. 3-year deal, $45 million. Carl Lawson, only 25 years old, guys. A great pass rusher from the Bengals, now a Jet. Kudos to the Jets for grabbing that guy. Gerard Davis adds a nice veteran presence at the linebacking position. And a little nugget, from what I'm hearing, is that they're looking to trade C.J. Mosley. A year after C.J. Mosley has opted out last season, now it looks like they're trying to possibly trade C.J. Mosley if they can, which is very interesting.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, what has he done for them really lately?
He took a year off. That's what he did.
Yeah, basically.
And real quick, they have franchise tagged starting safety Marcus May, which is a must. You can't lose 2 safeties in back-to-back years.
I don't know. Yeah. I know we're getting issues here. I know John Turner said the show maybe cut out or something like that. We'll check. Joe, are you checking it out on it?
I'm still watching
it. We're live.
I think it's John.
John, yeah.
John, I think it's you
out there.
I think it's you, buddy. It's not us.
Quick. No.
Because I'm watching it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, sorry, we're still going. I hope you can reconnect with us.
Anyway, we're going to jump right quick to
Baltimore
Baltimore Ravens.
Right into the Ravens.
The Baltimore Ravens, let's see what they've done. What have they done? Kevin Zeitler ends up signing, the guard from the Giants ends up signing with the Baltimore Ravens, replacing any kind of need there. Tyus Bowser, I think, is more of an underrated move than people give it credit for. Tyus Bowser is a really good D-end / pass rusher / kind of like linebacking type of status. So watch out for him to make a difference this year, taking the place of a guy like a Matt Judon. So Pernell McPhee ends up re-signing. Justin Ellis, who cares? Derek Wolfe, old man Wolfe is still playing. He ends up going back for a little bit of a cheaper deal. Cincinnati Bengals, what have they done? Well, I'll tell you what they did. Trey Hendrickson from the Saints, one of the best DNs in free agency. Guy that's not really talked about a whole lot, but ends up landing a 4-year, $60 million deal. A serious deal. Trey Hendrickson, they lost Carl Lawson. What do? They replace him with another stud. So Trey Hendrickson is there. The laughable but also humorous cornerback Chidobe Awuzie from the Cowboys. He ends up signing a deal with the Bengals. Mike Hilton, who I will say is one of the best nickel corners from the Steelers in the entire league. Mike Hilton ends up signing a deal with the Bengals, and that's it for Cincinnati.
Yeah, pretty much. So see what happens with them move forward if they go with anything else here. What are they going to do a wide receiver position too? I mean, are they going to hit the draft hard too? Because they did lose a few depth pieces there.
Right.
AJ Green going to the Cardinals and now Ross, which he wasn't part of their offense really so much there, but get some more weapons for them too offensively to
they can
help
go.
them along.
Yeah, they can definitely go a couple different ways. And it comes to mind, yes, they lost A.J. Green, but that's really not nothing to panic about or anything like that. But other than that, like, they still need help at offensive line. In the interior, they still need help at corner. Now, you remember, William Jackson III was their starting corner last year. Now he went to free agency, and now he signed a new deal elsewhere. So that spot right there at cornerback is another need that they're going to have to look into, whether it be this free agency or in the draft.
Here we go. We've got Jason Prophet in the house with us tonight. He says,
"What's going on, Jason?"
To Samuel. What is that supposed to say? Touchdown?
Fitzpatrick.
Touchdown.
Fitzpatrick to Samuel, touchdown. So he's calling the play already.
Yeah, there
he's
you
calling
go.
the play. So you got Fitzpatrick,
Sure.
who
10,
just
12
signed
wins,
with the
guaranteed.
Washington football team, and Curtis Samuel also joins Ryan Fitzpatrick with the Washington football team. Watch out for this duo here. I mean, it's pretty nice. And you also got Scary Terry McLaurin. I mean, this is looking really, really good for Washington. Now, I hope that they're not done there. I hope they haven't sat back, relaxed, and popped open a bottle of whatever they got and popped and start lighting the cigars yet, because they can't be done yet in free agency. They still have some needs. And before we get to the draft, let's address them, right? So the Washington football team have done a good job so far, but hey, what's it going to hurt? Let's try to bring in a guy like a Kenny Galladay as well, and maybe possibly Juju Smith-Schuster. So don't stop there on offense. Keep continuing the ride, the rhythm. Let's see where they end up. And we already know that their defense is just lights out.
Yeah, I mean, and they make up. They're talking here. Prophet and John Turner back and forth.
Okay,
here
what we got?
again. They're saying again. I definitely think they'll win the division for sure. They won already this year. So you look in what the teams have done so far in free agency.
Right.
I mean, Dak Prescott's coming back. You know, he gets a good deal for him. But what are they missing? What do they have?
Defense.
So how are they going to go?
Defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they lost more pieces on the defense.
How is Dak going to perform when you didn't get to see a whole lot of Chase Young and things like that? Now you get to see that. He's gonna now. So yeah. And then again, my Giants don't know what they're doing. So I mean, we're in trouble there too.
Right.
It's going to be a tough year though for those squads too with the schedule that they have set up too. So they're going to face a lot of adversity here. You're going to see Tom Brady again this season. So I mean, it's going to be an interesting year for them, where this division, it's all over the place, all over the map. And I don't know what to expect out of Philly now with everything that's going on too. Going full into Jalen Hurts and stuff.
Oh yeah, they made that
mixing
very
things
clear.
up too as well. So
John, what
he
John
says here? John Turner for sure.
No
right?
on Juju.
No on Juju.
You can have that
diva. Yes, he does not like the Juju Smith-Schuster there.
Well, I mean, here's what I'm going to say. Juju, number one? Absolutely not. He can't be the number one receiver and take over a team and help them win. Absolutely not. But what Juju is a very good number two. And if you add him to a team that, like Washington, that already has weapons like Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin that are already proven, you add him to that mix, that elevates his game again. He's one of those receivers that has to have another reliable target opposite him. So,
and John out there, just in John fashion, who's Tom Brady out there?
Of course. What's going on, John? We love you, bro. Thank you for joining the show.
Absolutely. Football World discussion group too.
Yes.
Which we share our show to, which you're a member of. So if you guys haven't seen this group, it's a Football World discussion group. Join that group. Thousands of members. Always football talk and updates, and everybody's friendly there. It's a great group to join.
And I love John Turner saying, I hope you don't mind me saying this,
it's
John,
a beautiful line. Trademark.
Yeah, right?
You got to trademark that.
It's a football world, and we're just living in it.
Or no,
John,
you've screwed it up. It's football world, and we're all just passing through.
I like
passing through.
Yeah, passing through.
Yeah,
that's good.
I know it, John. See,
it's all right.
There we go. Anyways, rolling through the AFC, the Cleveland Browns. I mean, you
only one
about
signing.
Cricket's what I've been doing here.
Only one
all night. Again, McKinley, Malcolm Smith, John Johnson.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one basically.
John Johnson, the third, absolutely amazing.
They have a lot of talent anyway.
The best free agent safety to be had out there, and the Browns got him. And the funny thing is that he had other teams after him, but he chose the Browns, which is interesting to think about. So he signs a 3-year, $33.75 million deal. John Johnson going to Cleveland, and he just immediately makes that backfield even better.
All right.
Steelers.
Moving into Steelers, and we just talked about Juju.
And the Steelers didn't do
so.
a whole lot, to be honest. Like, they really didn't do much of anything. They managed to re-sign a couple of guys. Zach Banner comes back at tackle, but man, oh man, the Steelers' offensive line right now is looking very shaky. Big Ben, are you really sure you want to come back this year, man? You don't want to retire?
Yeah,
No?
what's John Turner's take on that? You know, his boy Dwayne Haskins goes to Pittsburgh. How quick do you think they're going to pull the trigger and go to him? Maybe if Big Ben starts to struggle or whatever. I mean, it is going to go Big Ben all the whole time.
No, Big Ben is the
just
guy.
roll with it, or what's going to go on with that?
Yeah, Big Ben's the guy.
Or
Like,
if
you got to remember
gets
too.
injured too.
There's an acclimation period with Dwayne Haskins coming over. He's got to still learn the offense in a time where there's no like, you know, you can show up to the facility all the time and work out all the time and learn the playbook and everything like that. It's kind of like hands-off type of thing. It's on your own a lot. So a lot of adjustment period for Dwayne. So let's see what happens with them going into the offseason.
All right, the Houston Texans, you're making a lot of moves too. You want to talk about the Patriots.
But are
they're
they
just
the right
signing,
moves?
Yeah, I know, but they're just signing like a ton of free agents out there. It seems like they're like, Deshaun, you like this guy? You like this guy? You like this guy?
No,
we got this guy.
He
you
ain't
like
even
this guy?
talking
You want to stay
to
down?
them. He's not even
it's
talking
hilarious.
to them.
I know, but it's just hilarious of what they're doing. They go and get Tyrell Taylor there too, which had a rough year last year with the punctured lung. How is he going to come back and be able to play if he will play? Which who knows what's going on again with the trade and all that
let's
stuff.
be honest. You look at what they did, right? They signed a 1-year deal at $12.5 million. That's that's really good money for a backup. But more,
it could be worth up to 12.5. It's a 1-year deal, $5.5 million.
But I'm saying this: Watson's
guaranteed.
not playing
Still,
for you.
not,
Let's be honest. Watson is not coming to Texans. He's not going to play for you. Tyrell Taylor is going to be your starting quarterback going into the season. Let's just face it. So that $12.5 million is what it is. So Tyrell Taylor is your starting quarterback. And they go ahead and they sprinkle in some talent with Marcus Cannon pulling off a trade with the Patriots, bringing that tackle, bringing extra protection that they are much need. They also add Mark Ingram, the running back from the Baltimore Ravens. A little bit long in the teeth, but he can still play. He's going to come and help kind of balance out that David Johnson attack with himself. Other guys, I mean, nothing real big. Shaq Lawson got traded over there, like we mentioned earlier in the show. Malik Collins.
They
I mean,
made
there's
a
really,
lot of moves.
There's
Holy
really,
moly.
but it's a lot of hollow moves.
Yeah,
it's all
it is. A lot of
hollow.
1-year, 2-year deals.
Christian Kirksey comes over, you know, and I just don't know. Like, there's nothing that's like eye-popping and saying, wow, they really added talent. No, what you added is a bunch of backups.
Well, a bunch of guys that they just filled spots where better guys had left the team already. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All backups.
I mean, you lose talent, but then you kind of fill it with a bunch of whatever.
Yeah, I don't see it. It's just a disappointing offseason for Texans fans. That's all I know.
There you go. So I think I'll agree with that one.
Colts. Colts real quick. You know, they end up pulling off the trade. They get Carson Wentz now as their leading guy at quarterback. And Marlon Mack ends up re-signing.
That's great. They need a new massage therapist over in Houston. Oh, my goodness. There you go.
Nice. But, yeah, so Marlon Mack ends up re-signing with the Indianapolis Colts. Carson Wentz gets traded there. Now they got their guy at quarterback. Now, mind you, some people might scoff at this idea. I'm like, why would we bring Wentz in? But if you remember correctly, Carson Wentz, the last time he was really good was when Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. That was his last time where he was really solid, really good. So now he rejoins Frank Reich as the head coach. Comes in. I think nothing is going to really change for Wentz other than he has to get better.
Yeah, Marlon Mack on the 2-year deal or 1-year deal worth $2 million for nothing. Again, perfect because again you don't know how healthy he's going to stay, but
Isn't
productive
that the
when he's out
craziest
there.
thing though? Like I
that's
understand the injury deal. I understand, but man, he's super young. He's still 25.
Yeah.
He's still in his prime. He still could do. Imagine if he stays healthy the rest of the time there. That would be insane.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving on to the Jacksonville
Holy
Jaguars.
crap. Jesus, talk about moves.
Again, a lot of moves, too, Joe. You want to flip through these? You're a little
yeah,
faster than I am
real
going
quick,
through
what
them all.
I'm going to look at is like just names that kind of like are good enough to be mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So we would have said a year or two ago Carlos Hyde is pretty good, but Carlos Hyde has kind of been on a decline. Philip Dorsett, kind of like an underrated receiver. He finds another home now from the Colts. He's had his time there, shared it. Now he's coming off an injury, though. Yeah. So that's a low-key signing. Cam Robinson, he receives the franchise tag. That's a big move for them. They needed to maintain their starting type of offensive lineman, even though Cam Robinson missed last year due to injury. Dwayne Smoot, I know, is another underrated type of guy for the Jaguars. They end up re-signing him. Tyson Alulu, which is funny because he ends up leaving the team, goes somewhere else with the Steelers, then comes back right to the original home that he once left. Malcolm Brown, like you mentioned before, at D-tackle, he now joins the Jaguars to help bolster up that defensive line for them. Now, here's a name that doesn't really get highly spoken of, but Rory Robertson Harris, the D-tackle from the Bears, comes over to the Jaguars. This guy is going to be a name to watch for. He's a difference maker on the interior of the D-line. Watch for him to make some huge plays. Creates a lot of pressure, can pass rush, can play against the run well. He's a difference maker. Another one, Sidney Jones, kind of a guy who's been really forgotten since the draft. A guy that's been injured, not really playing, played 1 year pretty much for the Eagles, hasn't done much. Hopefully he gets another shot in making a name for himself in Jacksonville. Shaq Griffin, everybody. Shaq Griffin. I could not believe this. Shaq Griffin actually left Seattle. I thought for sure that Shaq Griffin was going to re-sign a new deal with Seattle Seahawks, and it didn't happen. Shaq takes the deal with the Jaguars, getting a lot more money, 3 years, $44.5 million, locked into Jacksonville. That really helps this cornerback room. Good job, Jacksonville.
Make your dreams come true.
And last but not least, Rayshawn Jenkins comes over from the Chargers as safety. He's going to help that back end of the secondary to help with Shaq Griffin and making them a little bit stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, again, making moves. We'll see what happens. You know, got Urban Meyer there now, a new regime. What are they going to do moving forward? It's an exciting look
tough.
Over there.
It's going to be tough.
See what's they're going to be doing. Yeah.
And that's the thing is, like,
especially in this division.
Right. We already know, like, when a college coach comes from college to the pros, it's a big adjustment period. It's funny how Matt Rule did a very, very good job being his first season in the NFL. Did a very good job. So that he could have been the exception maybe. Let's see what happens in his second year. But Urban Meyer is kind of different, though. He's not coming from college to pros. He's coming from college to the booth, now to the pros. So it took a little bit of a different path. But nonetheless, not to say anything less about it, but it's going to be a huge adjustment period, I think, for Urban Meyer. I mean, there's a lot to take in. You got free agency going right now, which you don't have in college. You know what I mean? You got the draft coming up. There's a hell of a lot more going on in his head than and also you got to be aware that, you know, his health issues that he had in college. That's the reason why he left the game, because of the stress levels and everything. Well, the NFL is no shortage of that.
Absolutely.
So I wonder how long he can last in the NFL, or if he can adjust to this high-tempo, stressful environment that the NFL does show.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's one thing to definitely pay attention to. John Turner's out there. Oh, he says Van Noy just signed to the Patriots. Yep. Yeah, we knew that. We said a little while ago.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting there. Again, for them, going right back to the Patriots, you know, so it's going to fit nicely for them, a nice fit for them as well to help preach that defense, too, to some of the new guys there. Moving on to the Tennessee Titans. Not a whole lot for me that's really exciting here. I mean, I like the Bud Dupree thing, 5-year contract, you know, but that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot, Janoris Jenkins, I mean, who cares, whatever.
But the Bud Dupree is definitely the one to talk about. That's the one big. They finally get a stud pass rusher for the Tennessee Titans, and he leaves a team like the Steelers to come to a team, the Titans defense, which is kind of similar. So it's not going to take him long to get acclimated to it, and he's going to be a difference maker from the start. Danico Autry is a D end. He can play D tackle as well for the Titans. He's a difference maker for the Colts, now for the Titans to watch out for. So he's going to also help out with that D-line rotation and getting in the backfield. We're off to the AFC West already.
We're rolling, rocking, and rolling right through this.
Denver Broncos. Let's see. What'd you do? Well, we re-signed Shelby Harris, who is playing pretty good. Ronald Darby, whatever. Justin Simmons is the one thing that you did right. You tagged him. You got him back. And here's the other thing. As another smart signing for the Broncos this year is actually, you don't even need it, but running back Mike Boone from the Vikings previously ends up coming over. Now he's signed to a 2-year deal with the Denver Broncos, adding some more depth to that backfield. With Phillip Lindsay kind of being in limbo, he's a restricted free agent, but he's also kind of getting in a little bit of trouble outside the sidelines there. So we'll have to monitor that. But John Elway, I got to say, John Elway is not in the GM chair anymore. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think there's smarter moves happening. Let's wait and see what happens this offseason. There's a lot of reports saying that, like Desean Watson handpicked Denver Broncos as being a possible landing spot. I don't know if Denver does it. I think they're a little bit smarter. They don't want to give up the farm. So I don't see that trade happening.
Winners don't use drugs.
Yeah, they definitely don't. And in Denver, they might.
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs, what their biggest thing is they end up bringing in Joe Thuney, the guard from the New England Patriots. He ends up coming over, a guy who's still not too old. He's about 29, 30 years old. Still in his, you could consider offensive lineman at that age prime. But because they play much longer. Kyle Long, a guy that comes out of retirement, everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting.
From the Bears, he ends up taking a couple of visits. Originally visited the Raiders, ends up leaving without a contract, goes to the Chiefs, and then in one day, boom, he just signs a deal. So Chiefs in a much-needed revampment of that offensive line and trying to improve it.
Totally.
Looks like they're definitely on the right track.
Yeah, they're trying to do that too. They released their 2 tackles, grabbing 2 new guards. What's the next couple of moves here? I know Patrick
tackles
Mahomes
has got to be.
Didn't appreciate what happened in a Super Bowl and stuff like that. Had no time at all. Even though with his talent, what he was able to try and perform and do was pretty exciting and interesting to see. But they want to make sure he's secured.
Right. But my biggest thing is the tackles were the problem. They signed 2 guards.
Yeah, I know.
You still
I'm
need
waiting.
tackles.
I'm waiting to see what they do.
And the funny thing is that they cut Eric Fisher.
Yeah.
They cut Mitchell Schwartz. Mm-hmm. Those guys are free agents now, and they don't want them back. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
All right, so let's get to your team. Here, the Las Vegas Raiders here in the AFC West too as well.
Right.
I mean, you guys go and get John Brown now too. Richie Incognito re-signs. Yannick Ngakoue, I like that one. A 2-year contract. That's
definitely.
absolutely a cool move for them too on defense because you see that's what they were struggling here. The Raiders on defense trying to revamp that, get it going here for them. So
definitely getting pressure
here for them.
They definitely still have a lot more moves that they have to go. They need a safety desperately. I don't know if they're waiting for the draft for that. If they might be getting one later on. We'll see. But a couple of big things that they did is re-signing a couple of guys of their own. Like you mentioned, Richie Incognito. Denzel Good is a guy that no one kind of really knows about, but he's an absolute stud. Whenever he's been asked to play, he can play pretty much anywhere but center, and he does it at an all-pro level. So it was huge to get a guy like Denzel Good back, and they re-signed him to a 2-year deal. That's going to definitely he's going to fill right in where Gabe Jackson once was. Gabe Jackson gets traded away, and Richie's going to play his normal left guard spot. So really the only holes right now on the offensive line is center because they traded Rodney Hudson away to the Cardinals for a 3rd-round pick and right tackle. They traded Trent Brown away back to New England, which is kind of funny. Doesn't want to play. Now they just got those 2 holes to fill. Now I'm looking now more and more like they're going to look towards the draft for that offensive line to help. Other than that, a couple of kind of like small names, but guys that could play big parts in this upcoming season is Quentin Jefferson, a D tackle, and Solomon Thomas. A guy like Solomon Thomas, it almost like he went kind of like underlining player with the Niners roster. He got injured. They kept drafting first-round talent at D-line. Never could get back on the field because of all that talent. And now he's a free agent. So the Raiders are going to they signed him to a 1-year kind of prove-it deal. Let's see if you're really that good. You know what I mean? So that's another good deal. And Nicholas Morrow at linebacker, that kind of alleviates the pressure of drafting a linebacker in the first round.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the Chargers here, again, don't re-sign Hunter Henry. He moves on. Now they focus here. They get Corey Linsley here for the center, with a 5-year deal, $62.5 million, and they're going to pay him $26 over the first 2 years moving up.
Yeah.
Michael Davis as corner re-signing here, and then the kicker. Yeah, who cares? But that's what their problem is here, though, too. Maybe they re-signed a kicker for once because maybe they found their kicker because they've had issues with this team with finding a guy that they can rely on all the time. Right. But not a lot of moves here, too. So I want to see what Los Angeles does here because, again, Justin Herbert, I want to see them get even some more weapons and some things around him. What are they going to do to solidify this franchise moving forward and help them offensively? Because you could see he was able to get them back into games and score.
Right.
But then also on the defensive side, it seems like whenever Derwin James. Was it? No. Yeah, I think I'm right. Derwin James wasn't in there.
Yeah, he was out all year.
Able to, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not able to help that defense. When they miss their key guys, when they're not there, this seems like they can't really do anything.
But
so I think I want to find more parts here on their defense to help that team. So then they don't always have to try and put up points to combat some of these tough teams in the AFC West and some of these other teams that put up high points.
See, now I have a different aspect to that is I don't think the defense was the problem because they had talent in all those positions. They played a good job. Gus Bradley did a phenomenal job with that defense. The offense, they just didn't have weapons. They didn't surround Herbert with enough weapons to catapult them and get them all those wins. So, I mean, you look at guys that they've lost right now.
Well, they have some decent guys. So Keenan Allen's still decent.
Casey Hayward is now cut. Mm-hmm. They move on because of salary. So now he's gone. That's a huge hole at corner. And Rayshawn Jenkins, another starting caliber safety, he moves out. Denzel Perryman, a starting linebacker, now he's gone to another team. They're almost looking like Swiss cheese at this point. Melvin Ingram, who cares? The guy's over the hill. He didn't have any sacks, much like Jadeveon Clowney, but we'll get to him. And they have a nice kind of young D-line besides Ingram to build off of. So I don't really have worries about really the defensive line. They just got to worry about filling the holes that are now created.
Yeah.
But Derwin James is a guy that now you got to question, is he going to be reliable going forward? This is a guy that he played one season, his rookie season, and made a huge splash, and everybody fell in love with him. Now he hasn't played since. So he's been out with an injury for a whole year, Now what's this year going to bring? Is he going to be able to make it through the offseason and make it to the season? That's going to be something to look into. Because if he gets injured again, look for the Chargers to move on from Derwin, regardless of how talented he is.
Oh, that would make sense. All in the world, definitely.
Corey Linsley, though, the free agent signing that they did at center, they had to.
Yeah.
Pouncey retired. The Pouncey brothers retired for crying out loud. Center for the Steelers and for the Chargers, now gone. Corey Linsley, brilliant move by the Chargers. They end up putting in another all-pro, but a little bit aged center.
Absolutely.
We got to do a shot.
Yeah, I was just going to say we need to do a shot here.
Let's go.
Here we
Salud.
Go. Salud. You need to do a shot if we're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys.
I do.
All right, here we go. We're moving on to NFC East. So this is great because John Turner's out there with us too as well. Stacy, that helps run the show with him too, and his group. She's a Cowboy fan.
Okay.
He loves Washington football team. I'm a Giants fan, so this is going to be a lot of fun. All right, here we go. Dak Prescott signs his 4-year deal, $160 million. 164 includes, wow, 126 guaranteed, all that nonsense.
I don't know.
So they believe in him. After all the stuff that, we're hearing, they didn't want to pay him the money. They didn't want to do this. But he wanted a shorter deal. It all turned out that he got pretty much the money he wanted, minus a few million, and the short contract that he wanted. So now in a couple of years, he could become a free agent again.
Oh, I got it.
And make more money possibly. But coming off that injury, they just entrusted him, said, all right, we ensure that you're going to be the guy you were before and lead us somewhere now. So now basically pressure back on the Dak Prescott here. Now you got to show us here because now we're paying you what you wanted. You got to bring us to where we need to get to.
All I
got to
say
land.
is
What is your problem?
All that kind of crazy money right there that they just gave Dak Prescott. They with this kind of contract, They believe that he is the Super Bowl bound quarterback for them. That's what this means. Let's just bar none. First year of this contract, he gets $75 million. $66 million of this is a signing bonus. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And on average, it's $40 million after that. Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. So by doing this contract right now, the way it is, the way it's structured and everything, you think that Dak Prescott this year is going to carry you to the Super Bowl. Never mind the fact that you don't have a defense to help you out. You think Dak Prescott is going to just carry your whole team without a defenseless team?
Don't be rude.
He's going to take you all the way. Not to mention that you need offensive line help.
Yeah, basically that's what you need. I mean, and what they do is they agree to terms with Siki Ty, yeah, and but yeah, hold on, not a lot of moves right now. But again, you got to think of the money that they have tied up in some of these guys. Mm-hmm. Are they going to look to Zeke or Jalen Smith to try and restructure some of the things that they got
would
here
you now?
Too? You know
you
what I mean?
Just signed Dak Prescott to all this money. You did this to yourself.
They got to go all in right now.
They did it to themselves
because pretty soon the wheels got to fall off the wagon here. You know what I mean? Something's got to give. You're not going to see Zeke around anymore. He's going to be somewhere else. Stuff like that's going to start to happen. I mean, they need to grab, especially probably do well in here in the draft, grab that young defenseman, something to help out corner mainly.
Caleb Fairley
here to help them
what they
out
need.
And get that defense up, because that's where they struggled to where now Dak Prescott had to try to, you see all the yardage that he had when people want to bring up the yards and the completion percentage or whatever that he was doing. He had to come from behind on all those first couple games here too. They were getting shellacked, and they would miraculously get back into the game and make it close. Just weren't able to pull it out into wins. And now they're going to hit the reset and see what they can do here. But they also, the problem is too, the coaching. Why would Mike McCarthy again go and get Mike Nolan, a guy who hasn't been in the league for years?
Right.
Hey, let's go here. Come on, buddy. Old
Not smart.
buddy, that we go fishing with on occasion. Come on, let's come. Just lead my defense. Yeah, what'd you do with that? And they have issue at health with linebacker with Leighton Vander Esch. I like it when he's on the field, just like when Sean Lee was on the field.
But he's injured a lot.
But he's injured all the time. And your best ability is being out there. So, I mean, reliability. So, I know they basically signed Dak. They didn't do a whole lot in free agency. I'm giving them a loss in this whole thing. We'll see what happens because they can't really do a whole lot for free agency. So it's up to the draft for that.
Right. Coupled with the huge contract that they gave Dak. Now, I get it. When you find a starting caliber quarterback, you got to hold on to him. You got to pay him kind of, the kind of money, the big deal, whatever. But I feel like they could have done a little bit better of a job the way they structured this contract and not kind of really, really just backed up the Brinks truck, especially in his first year. So is he that much of a difference maker? He's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong. Definitely starting caliber, but I don't think he's elite like this contract makes him out to be.
Yeah.
So that's where I have a hard time. And not to mention, the Cowboys, as bad as their defense was last year, they lost other starters on that defensive side. So now not only was it bad before, but now it's even worse because they just don't have the bodies. So they have a ton of needs on the defensive side of the ball, and they have some needs on offensive side. Now, people
might
say,
that offensive line broke down. You need to get that offensive line. So, again, you sign him to this deal, and, he got injured last year due to pressure and things like that. What's he going to do this year when he's going to be attacked because you don't have an offensive line again?
That's the thing that I'm getting to is Fredrickson, their all-pro center, retires, right, due to illness or what have you. But Tyron Smith, he has back issues. He's not getting any better. It seems like every year now he gets injured, he's got to leave. He can't come back. So and so far they haven't prepared, whether it be draft, free agency, what have you, to reestablish and recreate this offensive line to the juggernaut that we've always known the Cowboys' offensive line to be. So, at what point are you guys going to address this issue and further develop this team and get it better and ready to go? If you just win the division, that's not good enough at this point. You got to go further. You got to go into the NFC Championship. You got to get to the Super Bowl.
Well, now you've got, again, the Washington football team who made it to the playoffs here, was a contender, has a great defense. You got to face that twice.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck,
so,
Dak.
Look
Good
at
luck.
that. Now let's move on to the Giants again, where they're really quiet, too,
One move.
which kind of scares me.
One major move.
Yeah, because you're getting Devonta Booker, who cares? John Ross, again, I
Thank
like
you.
how they got him cheap.
First of all, I have to say thank you very much for taking Booker off our hands.
Yeah, right?
I didn't
know.
want him back.
I
didn't
you're
want him back.
welcome. Yeah, that's great. And even Leonard Williams, he got the tag, and then they agreed on a 3-year deal for $63 million.
Oh, my God.
$45 million guaranteed.
Somebody kill me!
That's what
Not
I'm
to-
saying when I see
not
this.
to- not
I
to-
don't like
not-
this because, again,
Yeah,
I
right,
don't like
right,
Leonard Williams
right,
anyways.
right.
You know this.
I know
I'm
you
gonna
don't.
I'm going to rant right here. I'm going to get the
Go
one
ahead,
a little bit
rant.
here. Again,
Rant all
because
you want.
you had one good year, basically. You had
Really?
one good year,
Yeah.
and basically you're still on a show-me deal, and you give him everything. $21 million a year, 45 guaranteed, just about here. You know what I'm saying? That is insane.
You're
For
giving
what? I'm not sure on. It could have been he played hard so he can get that deal, and now he's going to go back to what he was with the Jets. Like,
he
thanks a lot.
He played
This
pretty
is
well
great.
with the Jets.
He did okay.
No, he played.
No, he
You
didn't.
got to give him
Not
credit
that
where
well.
credit's due. Leonard
He was
Williams
just
is
okay.
a good player, and he showed
Not
it.
really.
He definitely showed it for sure. So here's the thing: the biggest thing, the credit that I'll give you is the fact the contract is too much.
It is.
It definitely is
It
too
is.
much for any D tackle. I don't care if you're freaking Aaron Donald or not.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely crazy. When you're on average of $20+ million a year, that's getting a little crazy. And he's not a D end. They got him listed here as a D end.
Yeah,
He's a
no.
D tackle.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
be honest. He's
Yeah,
a D tackle.
exactly.
So
That's the one thing, too.
For
When
this
you're thinking D
contract to
tackle
be
money,
as
too.
crazy as it is, his signing bonus at $22.5 million. Oh my God. This is absolutely absurd. Now, Gettleman didn't want to lose him. I understand because they pulled off a trade to get him. But at this kind of salary, at this kind of rate, this contract, I mean, I would have let him go at this
You're
point.
ugly. You are disgusting. I'm going to kill you. Give me $200.
Yeah,
And
like,
that's
I don't
not
like.
enough.
And this is what the problem here with Dave Gettleman again, because I was on the whole let's trade.
He falls in love with D linemen. We already know that.
Some of the moves he does, like I was on board with, and I said let's trade Odell Beckham Jr. So he actually does it. I'm like, yes, genius moves. Here we go. And then some of the things he does, especially even with the draft, 2 years ago, and then things like this, it's kind of like in that Nate Solder deal initially. I'm like, duh.
By the way,
what are
he
you
re-signed.
doing? Yeah, I know. He re-signed. I know it's great.
I don't know why it's not on
Restructured.
here.
But yeah, I'm like, oh, some of the things he does, it just annoys me to where this year we are going to have an episode to where he is on the hot seat. It's got to happen.
Oh, I'm already there.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause some of the things he does.
You know, I was calling for his head this upcoming
Yeah.
offseason. Now with a crazy signing like this, and with lack of other talent you're being brought in. Like, yes, we hear a rumor right now that Kenny Galladay is talking now with the Giants, and that's nice. Don't get me wrong, it's nice. But is he going to be able to pull it off, especially giving a contract out to a guy like Leonard Williams like that?
Yeah. That's the thing. You guys got guys out there, better players, wide
Now-
receivers. You look at the wide receivers out there. You got Corey Davis. You got him. Yeah.
As much as
and
I
you get John
bash,
Ross.
as much as I bash Dave Gettleman, I will give him a little tiny bit of credit. It's not a big deal or anything like that, but it's kind of like a move where it's either it pays off or you just cut him. Is John Ross?
Yeah, I like that idea.
To me, it's a 1 year, $2.5 million. That's nothing. That's just
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, I think that's
so
dirt cheap.
if this guy can manage to stay healthy for even 1 year, that would be a huge signing for them.
Yeah, and the one thing that we've discussed it before, just real quick.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There are no number ones on the Giants right now. There are a bunch of number twos and
Right.
threes. I'm looking for
I
that
agree
number
that.
one.
I agree with
Basically,
that.
That's what I want to have.
And Kenny Galladay could be that for you.
Absolutely. Just like Washington football team, they have a number one.
They do. They have a number 2.
Yeah, there you go. And they're going to take a number 2 probably on this division all over the Giants. So there you go. So, I mean.
I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
I am going to call it. I think the Redskins are going to win the division.
They're not. No, because they're not a team anymore.
Washington football team. Whatever. It's always been the Redskins. I don't know why everyone's all hidey-tidy about it.
Yeah.
But Washington football team, definitely, I think they're going to win this division because now they got a good quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's not to say that they still don't maybe make a move in the draft. They could still bring in a guy, draft a guy, and then he can be, he can learn under a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, the bearded wonder, the wizard, the magic man. But also, they end up tagging Brandon Scherf, which was kind of like a big deal. Like, this offensive line, we said, needs to be upgraded, but they got to keep their own that's there that's good. So they bring back Scherf. William Jackson III, a huge addition for this defense. This defense was already really good, but now they add a premier corner like William Jackson to this team for the next 3 years. That's crazy. So now they get even better on the outside. Lamar Miller, kind of like a low-key signing, just like a depth type of player. Curtis Samuel, a number 2, like we were talking about. I think he's going to be amazing for Terry McLaurin because now, even if you double team, we're definitely going to double team Scary Terry. We're definitely going to double team Scary Terry. Well, guess what? Oh, shit. They got another receiver by the name of Curtis Samuel who we didn't pay attention to, and now he's in the end zone. And they, of course, you have to give kickers love. Dustin Hopkins re-signs with the Washington football team.
I like how with the kickers contracts, they don't do like the Ks and stuff after them, like 1K of this or 1,000 or this many millions, like the million.
Yeah, guaranteed.
They write out all the numbers so it looks like it's really big for them. It's like, wow, this guy makes,
true.
Very
true.
Yeah, seven
right?
figures. Oh, my goodness.
They could have just said $1 $1 million.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, $1 billion, $2 million. And that's what I mean. It's like 1,887,000.
And the other thing too,
$500.
One thing that just came to mind too is they bring in a veteran like Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? They just re-signed Tyler Heineke, who, mind you, had a game where he played pretty darn well for them. And if he can further develop his game, maybe under Ryan Fitzpatrick, maybe he is the true future for them.
Absolutely. And next, that brings us up to the Chicago Bears.
Oh, we're rolling the Bears.
Yeah, man.
What we got?
Right.
Hey, everybody. Bears fans, calm down. Put the knife down. Relax. Mitch Trubisky is not your quarterback. You don't have to worry about that. But Andy Dalton is now your starting quarterback. That's right, Andy Dalton. I know people are going to say, Dalton can't win the big games, and he can't do this, and he can't do that. But he's a solid quarterback. He can win you games. You just got to surround him with talent, which they already have. Their defense is pretty darn good. You know what I mean? Their offensive line, I don't know. They cut Bobby Massey, so that's got to be a hole that they got to address still. They re-sign Jermaine Ifedi, keeping him at the guard spot. Mario Edwards Jr., kind of a depth move. Deion Bush, I think, is a bigger deal at safety. He gets to come back, or actually comes over to the Chicago Bears. And Andy Dalton, everybody. Andy Dalton's a solid quarterback. He's going to get you to do what you need to do on offense. You got Allen Robinson tagged, even though he's not very happy about it. He wants out. But if Robinson plays, if everything goes according to plan, and Dalton has these weapons at his disposal, I'm sorry, but I think the Bears, Andy Dalton makes them a better team.
I will finish what you started.
I don't think he will. I mean, Andy Dalton, you still have Nick Foles on the payroll too.
Foles ain't starting though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Andy Dalton, has he really showed that he's going to be much better than Nick Foles even at this point? Like, he did all right when he was in there with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, he did okay, but nothing spectacular. Like, I don't see.
I mean, you can make the same argument about Mitch Trubisky.
You got almost two of the same guys, but I think Nick Foles is a little more elusive. I mean, what's your offense going to look like then?
Nick Foles is elusive?
More than Andy Dalton. I don't think.
Stop it.
What are you going to do with
Stop
What are you going to do with this
You're
offense,
getting out
dude?
of control. Stop it.
No,
Put the brakes on.
No.
Put the brakes
on.
on.
You're going to do RPOs with Andy Dalton?
Foles can't.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, Foles can't run.
Are you going to do that with Andy Dalton?
Stop it.
Are you going to do an RPO with Andy Dalton?
Yeah.
And what's he going to do?
They did it with the
afraid
Cowboys.
that he's going to run?
They did it with the Cowboys.
No,
and it worked out.
So. No, it didn't.
Absolutely.
It's garbage.
Come on.
No,
you got to start watching more football, bro.
No, this
you gotta
is
start watching
this
more.
is stupid.
Yeah, you got to start watching
The Bears are
more.
going to suck. All right?
Gotta start
They're
watching
going to
more.
suck again, and Matt Nagy's out. Everybody just knows this. All right, let's move on to talk about
I don't think
sucking.
so.
A team that's really good at it, that does it every year, the Detroit Lions. You know, unfortunately for
Crazy.
Jared Goff, he gets sent to the abyss, that is the Detroit Lions, and to where now they have the owner's daughter, I think, running the whole show now. So we'll see where that goes.
She's
we'll
just a figurehead. Let's be honest.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
She don't
with this
run
whole
nothing.
thing, all right? But making moves. They got Jared Goff here, Jamal Williams here. We'll see what happens with that. That's a friendly deal.
I think that's a good
Tyrell
signing.
Williams here too as well. Get a little wide receiver action there. Why not?
If he stays healthy.
Yeah. Romeo Aguilar, he re-signed again with them.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really
and
big.
I even like that they got Michael Brockers here in the trade too. So I like a little bit things that are doing it. Attack the defense a little bit, get some pieces. But there's a lot of work to be done with this team. Everybody knows that moving forward. So I'm not giving them a like or a dislike. They're doing okay. Let's see what happens with this team.
The big main component is, can Tyrell Williams stay healthy? Because they need receiver help. They don't have Marvin Jones anymore. He left to free agency. They don't have Kenny Galladay. He's going to leave. So they really have no weapons. Besides their backfield, they got nothing. Yes, okay.
When have you ever said that about the Detroit Lions?
They did bring Jared Goff over in that trade with Stafford. So they do have their quarterback, you could say, but where's the rest of the weapons? Why isn't the Detroit Lions going after a guy like Juju to at least help out? I mean, they're not really doing anything. Are they just sitting on their hands and saying, we'll address it in the draft? Or they still got some more work to do. Now, I think they did a great job on the defensive line so far. They managed to bring back Romeo Aguilar. They managed to bring back or trade Michael Brockers and bring him over to the D-tackle spot. That's great. But the moves can't stop there. They need a lot more to be competitive.
Yeah.
And the Green Bay Packers, real quick, they only did one thing.
Yeah.
And that's bring back Aaron Jones. And a lot of people.
Oh my God! Who the hell cares?
The Packers care. Shut the fuck up. So, I mean, the Packers, they bring back Aaron Jones, which I think is a bigger move than people think.
Yeah.
The Packers, a lot of people
we said they didn't tag him. It's amazing that they would leave him out there.
Right.
But they get it done.
But the Packers fans and everything, they were worried about losing Aaron Jones to the Dolphins is what was being reported. Mm-hmm. Is that, Dolphins are going to be all in on Aaron. Wow. Well, the Packers ended up moving in. They get this deal done before the Dolphins can even get to him. And I know the Packers like A.J. Dillon, but A.J. Dillon is a very different type of running back to Aaron Jones. Mm-hmm. Aaron Jones very elusive, fast, quick, twitch type of a running back. A.J. Dillon's more of your powerhouse. Mm-hmm. So got to bring this other element back to the Packers, and they do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vikings even making some moves here, too. We learned earlier tonight here, Patrick Peterson now signs a one-year deal here with them. You knew his time in Arizona has been overdue. He was wanting his way out a while ago. Dalvin Tomlinson, the Giants let him
He's kind of funny, though, because, he wanted out, then he's like, no, I want to be back.
Well, he started to see a few more things.
Stay.
Yeah. But he saw where they were adding it to, and he's kind of like, oh, yeah, I want to still get paid somewhere, do something. Dalvin Tomlinson now here signing a $22 million deal with them, too. So trying to help out their defense here. You can see they totally focus on that, absolutely. And they just, Chad Beebe, agreed to terms. Yeah, so
I mean, the only
not
two
a lot of special stuff here, but
the only two that stick out for me
to the defense
is Dalvin Tomlinson and Nick Vigil. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Vigil, solid linebacker, and you got Dalvin Tomlinson at D tackle. So those are two solid signings for the Vikings. That's who the fuck cares.
Absolutely. All right, we're almost done here, Joe. We're on to the NFC South, and the Atlanta Falcons did nothing too, as well, like always. The Falcons.
They managed.
What the hell is up with the Falcons? How does your brother feel being a Falcons fan? I mean, it's like
he's very disappointed. I'll tell you that
all the time. You gotta be.
But here's the other thing too, is that they also not only all they did was trade, and they got Lee Smith, which is a blocking tight end.
Yeah.
He's not like a great receiving tight end or anything. He's a guy that can't even run.
Yeah.
But they managed to pull this trade off, but they let Alex Mack walk out into free agency. Now he's a 49er. Mm-hmm. He signs with the 49ers, and now they got no center.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me, is Atlanta just kind of sitting back and saying, hey, you know what? We'll address it in the draft. We're not worried about it. But what about the rest of your guys? Mm-hmm. What about the defense, which was not very good these past couple of seasons? So where's, any kind of effort?
Congratulations.
Anything?
You played yourself.
I mean, there's no help on the defensive side at all. Like, come on.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing.
Panthers, everybody.
That team's
We're
in trouble.
moving on to the Panthers.
They don't have a lot of money, though, either.
No, they don't. And they're actually got to get back under the cap before the new league year starts.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be interesting. I'm sorry. I asked my brother about the Julio Jones contract and that type of thing. I'm like, dude, you're going to need to trade him.
Yeah.
You're going to need to trade him. He's like, no, I don't think we're going to trade him. I'm like, I think you're going to because you need so much money to get back under the cap. He's your biggest one of your biggest contracts out there, and he's expendable because of his age. Like, it just makes sense to me. We'll have to wait and see if they actually do it, but oh my God, like that would definitely relieve some cap relief there. Well, yeah, that's all Atlanta
we
did.
got the Carolina Panthers.
Carolina Panthers, like we mentioned before, Denzel Perryman, he moves on. He goes to the Panthers. Hassan Riddick is an interesting signing. Now that they got Perryman, they got Riddick there. That's kind of a nice duo to bring in, fresh new blood.
And this is the thing I'm talking about, though. Say you look at Leonard Williams, and I know what you think of Leonard Williams, stuff like that, but he had like a great year last year. And again, just okay, I think, the other years. Hassan Reddick had a great year last year, but not a whole lot previous to that. But he signs a great team-friendly deal here with the team here, which I like here what Carolina's doing here for their next year moving forward with them.
Yeah, so it's a low-risk type of contract.
Absolutely.
So,
I like
but
it.
here's the thing. Is Hassan Riddick, when he was brought in, the Cardinals didn't know how to use him. It's the same thing, actually, if you look at Isaiah Simmons that they just drafted. Very gifted talent. Guy can play pretty much anywhere for his size, but they're not really sure how to use him yet. Riddick was in the same boat. Riddick, he brought in, we're just going to put him at linebacker, and he's going to do everything that we need him to do. But it didn't work out that way. Now, I don't know if it's because of if it's a defensive scheme type of thing with Riddick. Is he just a pass-rushing type of guy off the edge like he was last year for the Cardinals? Or is he more than that? We're going to see that with the Panthers because he's going to be forced to show something else in this defense.
Absolutely. So let's go on to the
real quick.
Sure.
Taylor Moton was a huge franchise tag. They needed to bring that guy in.
Absolutely.
He definitely would have been signed elsewhere. A really good right tackle. They bring him back. Go ahead. Now we can go on the Saints.
New Orleans Saints now. Drew Brees retires. They release a bunch of guys, before that, including their tight end. So, I mean, making moves here. Restructured Taysom Hill's contract. Jameis Winston, now they re-sign him now to a 1 year, $5 million deal, $5.5 million or so. And there's some, $1 million fully guaranteed. So there's a lot of money that's weighted in incentives too, and that's what you look at with this contract and the Taysom Hill contract. They call it funny money now. Isn't it funny that they call it funny money? It's you see what's on the written part of the books. And then there's a lot of other bonus money that's floating around, incentively and what they're doing. Taysom Hill has a whole lot with all that, and now Jameis Winston has a bit here, which goes to show you now, again, they like Taysom. I think he's their guy, but they're willing to throw it out there and say, hey, if you are able to do this, though, if Taysom's able to do this, if Jameis is able to win the job, win them over in practice and whatever in the camp, you will get them paid, though. So this is where they're at with this team. They don't have their solid backup here. They're kind of like, we like both these guys, but you guys have to really show and step up that you can do it.
Yeah, they've already announced that it's going to be a quarterback competition, and Winston versus Taysom Hill. Now, I will put it out there to the Saints fans, to the NFL football fans. Who do you guys think is the best quarterback to go with? Now, you can't really compare him to Drew Brees. You can't do that. But who do you think is better to put in that starting lineup week one? Is it Winston or is it going to be Taysom Hill? Now, mind you, for the people that still hate Winston because of his days in Tampa and everything, this is a completely different offense than what was in Tampa. So you got to take that into consideration. Winston, he's now learning a different offense, has learned it by now, and which might work out really well. We know Sean Payton is one of the better head coaches, one of the better offensive gurus in the NFL. He's going to develop an offense for both these guys that's going to suit them to a T. So I think that both of them elevate their game. I mean, personally, if I had to say it right here and now, I'm going to go with Winston over Taysom Hill because he's done. He can throw the ball a little bit better in my sight, and he has weapons. Like you think about like Taquan Smith, and you think about Michael Thomas being there. They're going to have to bring in a new tight end, obviously, now that they moved on from Jared Cook. But not all in all, I think Taysom Hill is still going to be seen and utilized as that gimmick type of player, the guy that kind of plays special teams, wide receiver, running back, quarterback. You know what I mean? Everything.
Nothing is impossible.
We'll
yeah,
have to
and that's what I mean. I was skeptical when he came in. It had to be they named him the starter and not Jameis Winston. And when he actually started to play and he was doing fairly well, he was a little more than just that gimmick guy.
Yeah.
So right now at this point, I do believe in Taysom Hill and what he can do, but I'm not surprised again
he's a
about the
difference
Jameis
maker.
Winston though, because you've seen a little bit of that ceiling.
Yeah.
Number one drafted overall in a draft a few years ago. We've seen 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, but on the other hand, we've seen the bonehead
We've
mistakes
seen some bad,
of 30 interceptions. But then also that Tampa team was making a lot of mistakes altogether.
Not to
and
mention
the
they weren't the
offensive
greatest.
line wasn't very good either as
Right,
well.
right.
And that defense also struggles. So, I mean, some of the numbers are up and down.
They're skewed a little
You
bit.
want to see improvement, see that he has changed some of these things. So
John Turner just commented.
What do
He
you say?
says Winston, and then he says, I think Hill is a real quarterback.
there you go.
So, I mean, I agree with him. I think Taysom Hill could be a real quarterback. He really hasn't been developed as a full-time quarterback. I think he has the attributes that could develop him into a starter. But at the same point in time, I think at this juncture, like they might be more comfortable because Winston is just a quarterback. He's not a gimmick-type player where Hill is seen more as a guy that can play multiple roles.
Right, and I'm interested to see even if this year, if they do go with the traditional pocket quarterback, but then also Taysom Hill,
Dual
are
threat?
they going to do back and forth
gonna
again
do
a
a
little
dual-
bit here?
dual
Are they do
quarterback?
have something figured out? They're going to do it back and forth, so I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
He goes right here. That is
Sorry.
That is hilarious. I love it here.
I meant don't think he's a real quarterback.
Yeah, he's a real quarterback. Oh man, this thing. Yeah.
Abort.
Yeah.
Oh, John.
All
No
right,
problem,
he goes, I don't
John.
think
No
he's a good
problem.
quarterback. There you go.
We
It's a
appreciate
typo.
you, bro. We
Abort,
appreciate you.
He's out.
All good.
Oh man, that's good. He's
I like
oh,
it.
Jesus.
That escalated quickly.
I think that calls for another shot.
I'm running out of water.
Yeah, you need another shot now.
I need another shot again. Why don't you fill us up here? I'll get us into the Tampa Bay
Wait,
Buccaneers.
you
the
got
defending
to
champions.
talk about Marcus Williams.
Marcus
talk
Williams.
about him.
Why?
being
What?
tagged.
Yeah, they tagged him. Sure.
That's
I
a
mean,
huge thing. One of the best coverage
I guess
safeties
so.
in the NFL.
Yeah, it's good. Big. They needed to do that. Are they going to rework his contract here through the year, or are they going to
No.
wait till next year?
They can't afford
What's-
it. You
what are
know
they gonna
that.
happen? Oh, I
they're
know
ki-
that.
They're way over the
Why not?
cap.
But
still.
I mean, not having Drew Brees on the books really helps.
Still over the
But,
cap, bro,
I
by
know,
a lot.
I know. They went over a lot, especially with the way the cap is been reduced. But, yeah, I mean, that's big. But he's also been known, globally for his follies here and there, too, as well. But, again, when they're younger defensemen in the backfield, it's kind of strange, though, even, too, with some of these guys that they decided to tag, that they go and tag him. But, he's one of their youthful secondary guys, that they want to rely on. But, yeah, I mean, that's fine there. But I think Saints got a lot of work to do. I think they take a major step down this season from what you were used to seeing, even though I like, what Taysom Hill has done in this team. And he was able to win.
Yep.
I don't think they're in the competition with the Buccaneers right now anymore, though. So I'm just going to say that right off the bat, and it's probably not a big hot take for everybody. I think they all pretty much agree with that, too. Now, moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, surprisingly enough with everything, they've been able to keep the group together here in this whole thing, pretty much.
I mean, they've done
except
an
for,
amazing job.
AB, that's we haven't heard anything from out of there though too. But you pretty much got the Brady bunch back together.
They definitely
You got
do.
Chris Godwin gets the franchise tag, which
Right.
I was a surprise.
Yep.
Rob Gronkowski, it was funny. He comes out and says, "I'm going to dip my toes in free agency." Well, how'd that feel? Because you didn't really do anything, and you went right back to the Buccaneers. So.
The interesting thing about that story is there was a team, I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but there was a team that made a huge push on signing Gronkowski.
It was, shit. Oh,
Yeah.
I just
So, I
saw
mean,
that
there was a
again.
team that pushed heavily for Gronkowski to sign with them, and it just didn't work out because Tampa Bay said, hey, we're going to offer you this. Come back play with us. Okay, Tom's there. He's not going to.
It wasn't the Titans. I want to say it was somebody like
He's not going to listen.
What it was.
The bottom line is Rob is never going to leave Tom Brady's side.
No,
like it don't matter if you threw $24 million in 1 year at the guy.
Especially seeing you already just won a Super Bowl as it is. Why not go back to that?
That's
team?
what it's about, right?
And you already did it, so why not think you can't do it again? Again, re-signing Levante David, I think is big too because he is a veteran that has been important to this team for years.
For sure.
It's great finally to see. Like, I didn't want Tampa Bay to win the Super Bowl, but to see Levante David, after all the hard work he's put through for this team,
great job.
Finally get a Super Bowl for them. And Shaq Barrett, too, re-signing for
Quan Alexander's a little pissed off right now.
Yeah, I bet, right? But Shaq Barrett, again, a guy who has stepped up the last few years, too, as well.
Oh, my
showing
God.
what he can do.
Amazing DN.
And luckily, even right now, they have White still on his rookie deal. What's going to happen when they have to restructure that whole thing? And he's going to ask for money. Devin White, because he stepped up this year, played big for them. So I think next couple of years, they got to hit big anyways because they got Tom Brady until 2022.
Let's not
unless
rush
he changes his mind again.
Let's not rush it. Devin White's still on his rookie deal. Let's not rush it. Tampa Bay fans don't want to hear that.
I'm ready to do a prop bet and how much longer, how many more rings will Tom Brady get compared to how many more years he's going to keep his marriage? Because if he keeps going with this,
it's suffering
and going on, it's going to be struggling.
Yeah, for the people, for the know-it-alls out there that haven't really heard about this, but apparently his wifey is not so happy with him still playing football, and every year that he plays football, she gets a little bit more irritated. So, I mean, that puts a lot of stress on his marriage. It's put a lot of stress at home, probably.
Giselle, do you like Tom Brady playing still?
Not really.
See, there you go. She said it right there.
There you go. That was her, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know her personally.
Why haven't you hooked me up with her then?
I know, right? I don't know. But, yeah, Tampa Bay, I think, doing all the right moves. They don't have to do a whole lot anyways this season. So let's see what happens. What they conquer or do in the draft.
In all fairness, all they had to do was try to keep everybody together. Keep the band together and make another run. And that's what they've done.
Absolutely. They're making it
minus
move.
AB.
I like it so far. All right, NFC West.
Okay, so this is a pet peeve of mine.
Too.
This is a pet peeve of mine. Is they did a signing by a wide receiver in A.J. Green, okay? A.J. Green comes to the Cardinals. I'm not mad at A.J. Green signing a deal. Not at all. I'm mad at the team that signed him. Cardinals, you went out and you looked for wide receiver why? You made a major trade for DeAndre Hopkins, get him in as the number one best wide receiver in the division, hands down, and you have a lot of young talent. You got Christian Kirk. You got Andy Isabella. You got other guys that haven't even played yet. And you still bring in an older veteran like A.J. Green. So what are you telling? What are you telling Christian Kirk? Are you saying that he's not playing?
That's what I thought.
Are you telling Andy Isabella he's never going to see the field? Like you're stunting your youth development here. What the freak are you doing?
Like, I don't get what they're doing with that whole. I said the same thing.
But
I don't get what they're doing.
Other than that, okay. They re-signed Kelvin Beachum, which is a good move for them. Bring back their right tackle. They pull off a trade with the Raiders, and they trade for their center. Their all-pro center ends up getting traded over there. They give up a third-round pick. Raiders give up Hudson in a seventh. So that definitely puts an exclamation point on that offensive line with help there. Marcus Golden comes at a freaking cheap-ass price of 2 years, $9 million deal. A guy that is a really good pass rusher and is getting paid like nothing. So, whatever. J.J. Watt, everybody kind of knows that by now, that J.J. Watt now signed a 2-year deal with the Cardinals. He looks to definitely improve that pass rush for them. Other than that, Robert Alford comes over at corner to help out in the secondary, and that's that. So, Cardinals did a decent job, I will say. I like what they've done so far. They didn't have to make any kind of major changes. But still, that defense does need help. Minus Patrick Peterson, Budda Baker can't do everything.
Yeah,
Isaiah Simmons has to grow up and has to actually get on the field and play. So let's wait and see what else they do, if they do anything in free agency. But the draft definitely got to go defense.
Absolutely. So they're making moves trying to take that division with the changes that are happening with some of these other teams. Speaking of the other teams that are in that division, the Los Angeles Rams now too. John Turner says here, look at the offense Kingsbury played in college. He's air raid max. They will use empty backfield a lot. Yeah.
And that's fine. But it's just
how
like
much depth
they
do you need
already had the
altogether,
weapons.
too? Like, what are you doing?
They already had them
like,
there.
What's
So
the point? But
yeah.
I don't know.
You could have used that money for defense. That's
you
all
need
I'm
more
saying.
depth.
That's
We'll
all I'm
just keep
saying.
getting more. You know what I'm saying? All right. So Matthew Stafford now, a Los Angeles Ram. It's gonna be a little different for him here. Over there, now he's got some of those weapons. Cooper Kupp, Yeah, so, but Leonard Floyd, again, agreed to a 4-year deal. So they're staying kind of quiet. A lot of times in this free agency, this team has been throwing money around, trading around, making picks. But they don't have that luxury anymore because they gave a lot of that away. It's gone.
That's right.
So they're kind of screwed on this whole thing.
Yeah,
so
it's guys like
now they're
Jalen
kinda
Ramsey
chilling out
and Aaron
hiding over
Donald.
there saying, nobody noticed us over here. But, again, I like Matthew Stafford there. I think that's a little more reliability than Jared Goff. And he actually has some great weapons to throw to out there. So it's interesting to see what this offense is going to look like.
I will say for now, because there has been reports that they are looking to trade Robert Woods.
Robert Woods? No.
They're looking to trade guys like that. Gerald Everett, we already seen left. But they still have Tyler Higbee, don't get me wrong. He was their tight end that they chose all along. Everett moves on, who cares, right? But yeah, there are rumors that they are looking to move on from Robert Woods via trade. Now, does that mean that if they can't consummate a trade, are they going to release him now? You know what I mean? Because once that's out there, that's got to be a difficult type of thing as a player to deal with.
Oh, that'd be tough because he is like a 1A.
He's their
basically
most
to their one. That's what I mean. 1A,
he's their
1B,
most
that's what I'm
consistent
saying.
weapon on the field.
Putting up yardage every year, even with the other people that are out there, and not typically one of those bigger names that people talk about out there. Like people are like, oh, Juju Smith-Schuster's out there on free agency. Oh, this guy's this. Robert Woods is just performing. You know what I mean? It's almost how sometimes people think of Allen Robinson. He's kind of been on those teams that are in no man's land. You know what I mean? And he silently kind of performs 1,000 yards or so a season, and doesn't really get mentioned in some of the upper echelons of some of these wide receivers. And I think Robert Woods is in that boat. He does his job. He performs, and he's not a max deal guy.
Yeah, just want to say thank you, guys. Thank you, all you know-it-alls, for tuning in.
Oh, absolutely.
John Turner, he comes in with another comment here. He said he comes from Mike Leach School of Downfield and No Punting. So, I hear what you're saying, but it's going to be pretty crazy. Yeah, that's for sure. I don't really know. And the other move that they did was Leonard Floyd. I was high on this guy coming out of the draft. He goes to the Bears, doesn't really do anything with Chicago. What didn't become a dominant pass rusher like they thought. Goes to the Rams, and the Rams love him so much they bring him back to a 4-year deal. Now, I don't know. Like, does Floyd fit better in this defense of theirs? Like, is that why his play is starting to take an uptick, or is this just kind of like a mirage where they're like, we don't want to lose any more guys?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like they grab guys like this. I mean, you've seen it before. They've had grab guys just to fill in little spots here and there, like decent defenders, but not over the top.
I know, but he was there last year. That's what I'm saying. Like now you signed him to a 1-year deal last year. Now maybe he fit their system perfectly the way they wanted.
That's what they're trying to do.
So now they bring him back.
Yeah, absolutely. Just make it work, and just ride with it. As far as the San Francisco 49ers, big move for them, I guess, is just re-signing guys.
Oh my God! I didn't
basically,
realize this.
they got Ebukam, which I like though, and on a 2-year deal. I like that one.
What the hell were the Falcons doing?
Yeah, yeah. So
what are they doing?
I like that one there.
Oh my God!
Alex Mack here at their center here too, $5.5 million. Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, and I think the fullback position is kind of underappreciated. I think some of these teams out there really need to utilize the fullback. I think with the issues that they have. No, I'm serious, because when they're all of a sudden have single back there and they want to try and run and they can't run, they're like, oh well, maybe we'll just get the tight end to try and block. When they don't have a blocking tight end, where's your fullback? You could use a guy like this, but Kyle Juszczyk, best in the game, gets a 5-year deal, $27 million. Trent Williams, he ended up re-signing with these guys. Which
Look
we
at
weren't
that
sure
contract.
he was the bigger guy, one of the bigger guys out there. Yeah, exactly. This is what's funny with Trent Williams. Didn't we hear him complaining about Washington football team?
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Didn't want to play there.
No. Didn't want it.
Issues there, and then goes to the 49ers.
1 year deal.
And even he's out there in free agency a while, and then ends up re-signing with the 49ers again for big money again.
Big money.
I don't get it. I don't get it again. I think
30
he was kind of
not
trending.
Just, not just big money, but I mean, for a 33-year-old offensive tackle,
that's the thing.
You sign now. He's never going to see the end of this contract. Let's face it.
Right.
But it's a 6-year, $138 million contract. But you gave the guy $30 million in
$30
signing
million
bonuses.
Yeah.
$55.1 million of it is guaranteed.
You wrote his retirement check, basically, which I don't get why.
If I'm Trent, I'm not. I don't even have to play good.
Yeah.
I'm set.
I can see why he signed it, but I think for the 49ers, I mean, I just don't get this deal.
That's crazy.
Like I said, I like the Samson Ebukam
That's
deal
my
better.
favorite signing right there. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
And Jason Verrett, he's just injured. He's injured every season. Why would you sign him back again?
Yeah, I don't know. All right, and let's move on to the Seattle Seahawks here. This is our buddy Tom Leiter, who runs a group as well, the NFL News and Updates, right? NFL News and Updates group. Great group there. There's like tens of thousands of people in that group. Amazing group. A lot of people. Everybody's cool there, too, as well. So if you guys haven't joined that group, check that group out, too. It's very fun. Seahawks, they're dealing with the Russell Wilson turmoil. We know that from the Chicago Bears, they were really to give up they came out with the news they were going to give up the buttload, but it still didn't go through. They weren't down with that, Seattle, so they go and get Andy Dalton. And now Seattle, the only moves they make is Poona Ford. They re-sign him. Aguilar Witherspoon, is okay. That's an okay deal, I guess, too. And Gerald Everett, a tight end who's going to go there to die. So basically, Seattle does nothing again. So this is what Russell Wilson complains about every freaking year. Like, what are you guys doing to help me out? There's been even some other guys out there, in free agency to get him something. I mean, why aren't they even trying to get some other weapon, something else to keep him there?
They made a move right before we started our show. They made a trade. They traded with the Raiders and traded for Gabe Jackson, the All-Pro offensive guard. So they did hear Russell Wilson and say, "Hey, buddy, we're gonna try for you. We're gonna make it better. Just calm down." So they pull off a trade. They get the guard and they bring over from the Raiders and Gabe Jackson. So that adds some protection. They can't stop there, though, because Russell Wilson's not complaining about one position. He's complaining basically about the whole offensive line. So you need to go in the draft. You need to go into free agency right now and sign people to help protect him. Poona Ford, the nose tackle for them, is a bigger signing than people give off. A young run-stuffing type of tackle who can create pressure, and they maintain to keep him. You got to keep those young guys in there, especially on the defense. You know that they're getting older, with Bobby Wagner getting older. And KJ Wright. Actually, KJ Wright is a free agent right now.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see where he might land up. Now, the longer he stays out there, the better chances I feel that Seattle is to re-signing him, to keep him there. But we'll have to wait and see how that all goes. But Aguilar Witherspoon, he's from the 49ers. Shaq Griffin leaves. They gotta fill a spot. So they bring over Witherspoon on a 1-year prove-it type of deal with Seattle. So not a whole lot of flash for Seattle. And like Jim said, Gerald Everett, it's got to be disappointing if you're – I understand you're looking for work, right, as a tight end. And you're like, hey, this team's interested in me. I think I'm going to go there. But little do you know, when you sign that contract with Seattle, they are not throwing you the football. You're not doing anything. You basically disappear.
Right. And one interesting thing, I was just looking through their depth chart again quick. And David Moore, free agent out there.
Really good, underrated wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a really underrated wide receiver.
But to me, David Moore is more of a slot type of guy.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a third type of receiver, he's definitely the guy to go get right now.
And it's just funny, some of these guys, when you take a look at, especially this team, like you said, KJ Wright, probably going to hang out there, probably re-sign on a better deal. I don't know about some of these other teams that might grab him. And Chris Carson, even too, one of their major run leaders for this team, out as a free agent too.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
So who's going to be getting the ball then? I mean, are they going to draft somebody? I mean, because you've got Rashad Penny there who's been there for a few years now too, and a bunch of no-namers. So.
I mean, the one thing to look at is, like we mentioned earlier in the show, is you got guys like Leonard Fournette that are still out there, Chris Carson's still out there, and there's more than that in terms of running backs. I think teams are looking at it like, listen, the draft is pretty deep.
Yeah.
We don't really need to sign a running back. Now, if a running back says, hey, I'll take that $4 million, I'll take that 1 year, $2.5 million, something like that, really where it's really cheap, and they're a decent quarter or a decent running back, then I think teams were willing to do that. But I think when it comes to running backs that don't really deserve the kind of money that is being asked for, it just shouldn't be done.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's it. We covered every team, right? There you go.
We're done. Yeah, we just got done with Seattle.
All right. So, hey, we really appreciate you guys joining us tonight. It's great that John Turner was with us, too, as well. It's always good when he comes. If you haven't yet, check us out on YouTube there, too. If you guys aren't just Facebook people, I know you guys have a lot of Facebook groups out there. Go to Football on the No Show on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, let you know whenever we go live. Plus, we post some other videos on there, too, for fun here and there. We have some promos out there.
I mean,
too.
real quick, I just want to like go into this. So we did last week.
Yeah.
We did like the top 10 or so, 10, 15 top free agents.
Right.
The list has been updated now.
Oh, I bet.
So
I mean, a lot of those guys
now
all
that they've
re-signed
changed it
with
up,
the
now
same teams and
now you're looking at guys like that are still available now, and most of them are in their prime, still kind of young. Kenny Galladay is at number 1 right now. Will Fuller still out there. Jadeveon Clowney, who wants that guy? I mean, honestly, bust material. Juju Smith-Schuster still out there. Anthony Harris at safety. I mean, come on, Raiders. What are you doing? Antonio Brown has now made the top 10 list, everybody. Now that
nobody got time for that.
Now that the free agents have been signed for the most part, he's broke the top 10. Casey Hayward is at 7. Chris Carson at 8, like you mentioned, Jim. Desmond King, a great nickel corner. Brian Poole, also a corner, but who wants him? But that's just a few names to name real quick. And you also got T.Y. Hilton out there still looking for work.
Yeah, holy moly.
So, Giants, hey, T.Y.
You never know. Yeah, I like that.
Because T.Y. won't cost you a lot of money. T.Y. won't cost you a lot of money.
Yeah, definitely. John Turner out there. Good show. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John.
Go stupid.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Go crazy.
Go crazy.
John,
Go
cheers.
stupid. Go crazy. Yeah.
Salud.
Go stupid. Go crazy. Stupid.
Yeah, all right. So if you haven't yet, go to YouTube, subscribe. We're also on Twitter, FB_no. Join our group if you haven't yet. Like our page, too. Like our page because we're trying to get some more page likes, too. We kind of jumped from our page to our group, built more group members, but like our page as well, too, because we can even do more stuff with that, too, as well. Next week, we're going into more free agency. We might touch on some other stuff, like even the last 4 losing teams of last year, the last ones that, had to pick, like the Jaguars, the Jets, blah, blah. What moves they need to make to improve their team, and how will they do next year?
Definitely.
And a bunch of other stuff like that. So we're going to have fun. We're going to have a great show for you next week.
We'll figure it out by next week.
Absolutely. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you guys next week.
Later, guys.